Welcome back for another episode of The Main State of Mind. I'm your host, Justin Soderberg. We're back for another episode of Movie Night with Josh Moulton from Queen City Cinema Club in downtown Bangor. This time around, we're talking movie sequels, not those crappy sequels of your favorite films, but the ones that come out technically better than the original ones, the sequels that outdo their original films. If anybody's listened or watched in the past, Josh and I usually have our own individual top 10 lists, but we're going to do it a little bit different on this episode and do one big top 10 list of ours combined. And there is no order. It's just top 10 sequels that we like better than the original films. So sit back, relax, grab a coffee, a drink, or whatever you want. Or if you're listening to this on the way to work, awesome. Be sure to follow us on Instagram and on Facebook and like us, and subscribe to us on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify Podcasts to get the latest issues or episodes of our recordings. And so this is episode 51 of the podcast with Josh Bolton, Queen City Cinema Club, for an episode of Movie Night, talking movie sequels. Enjoy, everybody. How's it going, Josh?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well, man. Doing well.
Yeah.
Taking a day off here because we worked all weekend for graduation, graduation, but I never got because there wasn't actually any commencement at UMaine. But it's like everybody
Right.
still wanted to pick all their kids up on this weekend, which is
Yeah.
the weirdest thing. So a little tired, but getting through it.
Yeah. Yeah. We took yesterday off because we had quite a week as well. And Tiffany deserved a day off for Mother's Day. So happy belated Mother's Day to all those mothers out there.
Exactly. It was nice because I saw your post. That was one of the greatest Mother's Day closed posts I think in history of mankind. We're closed because of your mom.
Yeah.
Was a great it fitting for Queen City Cinema Club for sure.
Yeah. We have a little edge.
Yeah. A little fun.
Yeah, a little fun.
But we haven't talked in a little while. I mean, we usually talk a little bit in between, like even just seeing each other. We actually haven't even seen each other in a while. It's been crazy. And now tomorrow I'll be 2 weeks past my second Pfizer shot. So I'm there. Excited to move on and actually be able to hang out with people and have drinks together and socialize again.
Absolutely. Yeah. Me and Tiff got our second this past Wednesday.
Nice. Yeah. Nice. So again, same thing. So like sooner or later that we're gonna be able to hang out with people and actually be like, hey, let's have a beer together and actually sit down and take our masks off and feel like we're doing the right thing. So that's pretty cool. But you've been kicking ass over there. I've seen you guys have been basically full up a lot in your theaters and stuff like that. So that's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been great. People are loving the food and the drinks and the theaters especially. I mean, even this weekend we had Saturday wide open, which never ever happens. Usually it's almost fully booked a week out, and going into Friday night, Saturday was completely open. By early afternoon Saturday was completely full. So
that's awesome. Yeah, that's really cool. And like I said, it gave you an opportunity to take a day off and relax. And
absolutely,
you guys will open back up with a fury this week, right?
Yeah.
Hopefully, sure. It's like so. We're all like a lot of us on different. I mean, we have a lot of outdoor space like OBC. We're like looking for those good like sunny days, and you're over there sitting like rain.
Oh yeah,
more rain.
Oh, every day, every day we drive to work. We're like, what's the weather like? We're like, if it's nice out, we drive by Blaze and Patty's. We have patio people. No, I almost did a post the other day. It was basically just like, hey, it's raining out. What are you gonna do? You're not gonna go sit on the patio, are you?
Yeah. We're actually best we have it on a patio. We have a place to go inside.
Yeah.
So sweet. Yeah. Let's talk some movies though. So we talked. So the cool thing about or the weird thing I think, if you look at the top 10, like the top 100 movies on IMDb for box office sales, like the top 25 of those nowadays are sequels. And that doesn't always justify it being a good movie. It's always just because the sequel, the first movie was so good that the second movie came out and made a bunch of money off of the coattails of the first movie. I looked at the 10 movies that we kind of discussed before, and every sequel made more than the original film. But that doesn't mean that, again, doesn't mean it was in the eyes of most people that it's the better movie. It's just, Frozen 2 is going to make a buttload of money because Frozen 1 people loved.
Right.
Same thing with
Well,
all
it's
these superhero
exponential.
movies.
Yeah. It's exponential because you have all the people that saw the first one
Yeah.
and then all the people that heard about how great it was, or the people that have been obsessing over the first one for the last 2 years are going to go see it in the theater 3 times,
Because I
you
think
know
they're
how
still
much
making
little
a
kids
crap
watch
ton of money
movies.
off of Fast and the Furious, and I guarantee those are not
Oh yeah.
all as good as the original films.
No. Yeah.
So, and what else?
Absolutely.
Like 8, was there 9 movies out for that movie
Yeah.
now too?
Somewhere around
So
there.
that's crazy. But like, so there also is that aspect of if you, I'm going to use Frozen for, I don't know why I'm using Frozen as an example. I'll tell everybody right now, Frozen is not on our list for the sequels
No.
that was better than the original.
Yeah.
But it's also like I didn't see Frozen in the theaters, so it's not going to. My money is not going to account for the box office sales. Mine, I
Right.
saw it on Disney Plus, which means that if I liked it on Disney Plus, maybe I'll go see the second movie in the theater. So that's where they're going to
Right.
get a little bit of bump too of someone who didn't go originally to see it.
Yeah.
But there are a few movies that the sequels are better than the originals. There are
Yes.
definitely a few movies that the sequels are horrible based on
Yeah.
the original.
Right.
Ghostbusters would be one of them. Uh, Ghostbusters 2 is definitely doesn't live up to the original. But yeah, so we can talk about that. So Josh and I talked ahead of time about this one a little bit different. We'll go back and forth on these, and we don't have to talk a lot about it. I think it's more just a list to get out there to have kind of cool discussion on. This doesn't have to be an hour and a half one like we've done in the past.
Right.
It can be a little bit shorter, but I'll kick things off. I mean, their Star Wars franchise. So one of the movies I'd like to talk about is Empire Strikes Back. So I personally think Empire Strikes Back is the best Star Wars movie ever made, which I think
Agreed.
I'm not in the minimal amount of people there. I think a lot of people agree with me. Would you agree?
I agree. Yeah.
Yes.
100%.
So to say that that movie is better than the original is better than all of the movies as being one of the first movies in the series to come out. But it was more challenging, more thrilling, more dark than the original movies or
Yeah.
movie. And, it's just, I don't know. Again, like I said, not to talk a ton about it because I don't think you have to discuss this movie in depth to understand that it's better than the original movie.
Right.
But that was one of the only ones on this list that I think we have that actually made less money than the original movie. And
Yeah.
I don't know if it was based on solely on that people didn't want to go see it, but it also might have been they now equate re-releasing as box office things. So like it's a possibility that more people went and saw the original film when they re-released it and they add that money to
Gotcha.
box office sales.
Right.
So Empire Strikes Back made 551 million when the original Star Wars only made 775 million. So again,
Yeah.
I think that might have something to do with re-releasing.
Yeah,
Like when
for sure.
Avatar came out the sixth
Right.
time, it
Yeah.
adds to
Like,
that original thing. But
right.
it's still the best Star Wars movie there is. There's this, like I said, I could go on and on and on about it, but I think it's a pretty simple one to start off with because there's not
Yeah.
much you have to say. I think anybody who's seen the
Right.
movies knows that answer.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I would say just one, the reason that we're doing top 10 sequels that are better than the original is because it's incredibly hard to do a sequel that's better than the original. So this,
Mhm.
the opposite. Just like it's hard to win a second Super Bowl, or a second NBA championship, whatever, And as far as Empire goes, what were there really for big budget, massive popular culture trilogies planned out?
Mhm.
And also, if there was big sequels, they probably weren't going, okay, the bad guys are going to kind of win in this one. Or
Mhm.
this is going to be, focused on the antagonists,
And back in the
So,
70s and 80s, they didn't like they probably put some money into the original film, but if the original film was very successful, they put a bunch of money or more money
right,
into the sequel. Whereas
right,
nowadays, it's like if you look at our list, there's a quite a movies, especially ones I picked out to talk about, were made in the more current times where they put a bunch of money into all of the films and so on. But yeah, back in that day, back in the 70s and 80s, it was like they were making a single film. That's what they were
right.
making.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
they're very rarely do they actually make the sequel without it being planned. Like,
right,
a lot of these movies were planned to make more than one movies at the
right.
beginning of the thing.
Yeah,
And nowadays, I think they put a movie out probably knowing if it's successful, they're going to make a sequel to it.
right.
But
Yeah.
there's not
The
like a lot of them that
cinematic
are
universe.
actually planned on paper. We're going to release a sequel to this movie.
Right. All right. I
That's
love
the only one.
Empire.
Again, it's a little different way we're doing this, but I think, like I
Yeah.
said, Empire is one of
Yeah.
those movies. So if anybody wants to, again, that's one of those also those movies. It's a Star Wars movie, but everybody calls it Empire. It's not
Right.
Star Wars Empire Strikes
Yeah.
Back. It's just Empire or Empire Strikes
Yeah.
Back. There is
Yeah.
no connection to the first movie. It's not like Star Wars 2. It,
Right.
I mean, it is, but or it's actually technically Star Wars, what, 5?
Star Wars 5. Yeah.
Yeah, but still, yeah. Empire.
Yeah. So in the same vein, I mean, and I'll just do this right now.
Yeah.
Godfather 2 isn't on our list. That's obviously like, but it's just like so obvious, you know. So
Yes.
it's like, you know, what
Well,
are
I
we
mean,
gonna say about it?
that it's hard because Godfather 3 was good too. So it's like it's yeah. I guess that one should have made our list. I think a little bit, but yeah, it's 11th
It,
film.
yeah.
Godfather 2 would be another one of
Right.
those movies that we just not
Yeah.
on our list. We haven't gotten there yet, but like it's not
Right.
on our list, but I think it should be. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So another one that is like that, you know, that I think is pretty much universally acknowledged to be a better second movie is Terminator 2. Not that the Terminator was bad, just like Star Wars wasn't bad, you know what I mean? But they actually improved upon the original film in the second one. Part of that was technology, you know, that they had at their disposal. Um, you know, part of it was being able to develop the kind of the, you know, backstory or the mythology of it more. You know, you get deeper into the holes of time travel, and you know, things get more interesting, or you have more opportunities to either create a story or, you know, bring that story back around and resolve it. So I actually watched T3 the other night, because I got a T3 pinball and then it popped up on Amazon or something. So I watched it. And I'll tell you, that is not one of those movies that is better than the previous. So, I mean, it was entertaining, you know, but not in the way. T2 is a great movie.
And I don't have a list in front of me of third movies that were actually like of these movies or third movies
Right.
that came out that were absolutely horrendous. But it seems like that aspect of it, like, where it goes up, like there's some movies that go up or even stay equal. There are some movies that are just as good, if
Yeah.
not just below the original. Like, okay, I understand this is the sequel. The
Right.
original one's always going to be the best, so this is just below that. But a lot of times, the third movie in that run drops
Yeah. Like
drastically
Godfather
down.
3. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
and it's like it drops way down because I think they sometimes try and grab too much, and they're trying to,
Yep.
how are we going to make this into a third film or a fourth
How are we
film or a
going to
fifth
make it
film?
bigger?
Yes,
Yeah. How's it
and
going to be bigger?
and then we just
And
mentioned Fast and the Furious. Like number
right.
9 can't be as good as the first movies,
Right.
because it's the ninth movie. You're just trying to grasp at straws here to make some money.
Right. Exactly. But yeah, and you know, like Fast and Furious, I saw like a preview for one of them, and he's like jumping a car through a skyscraper, like into a helicopter or something like that. Like the first movie is just like dudes racing cars, you know.
And now it's like all this, like, yeah, there's like explosions. It's like turning into
Yeah.
Jason Bay movies over and over and over again. But it's like it's just guys that want to, like, it's like an undercover cop in the first movie. They just wants to learn a little bit about on street racing, and now they're like,
Right.
they're superheroes. They're saving the
Yeah.
world, and
Exactly.
like,
Yeah.
but yeah, that's what comes with progression, and that's why sequels, I think, are hard to get the second one right. But there are
Yeah.
other ones like this next film that I want to talk about, which is like, it's different because of the progression of the way the movies have worked, and it with
Right.
this movie as a superhero movie, and actually a couple of a number of them are superhero movies in my opinion. But like
Yeah.
Logan, for an example, it's they were able to not have as much fun with the character, I don't think, for the first few Wolverine movies or X-Men movies. They kind of like kiddied him up and made him more childish, whereas Wolverine's more gritty and dirty and swears and drinks and smokes cigars. So when they made an R-rated movie with Logan, they were able to do everything that Logan should be. And honestly, you know, Deadpool is not a sequel to Deadpool's character in, you know, the X-Men franchise. But if you
Right.
were to take characters sequels, if that makes any sense, so the introduction of Deadpool and Wolverine Origins to Deadpool the movie, you'd conclude that on this list 100% because how much better they were able to make Deadpool's character in his own movie.
Right.
With the same thing with Logan and him being the actual Wolverine or Logan that we know and love, gritty, blood, swearing, drinking, smoking. It was graphic. It's like one of those movies that's like, this is Wolverine. If we
Right.
met Wolverine in real life, this is what he would look like.
Yeah.
And they were able to do that with Logan. Again, there was a couple offshoot Wolverine Origins and the Wolverine movie that are technically the first Wolverine movies. You could also include X-Men as his first movie.
Right.
And this is a sequel to that. But like, Logan is probably the best X-Men movie. Next to, I would include Deadpool in that as well. So Logan
Yeah.
and Deadpool are both the two best X-Men movies. But again, I would have Deadpool as like if we were going to number it as up there towards number one, if you were just doing character-based sequels, not just
Right.
movie sequels.
Yeah.
With Logan also, it doubled as much money as Origins made. Wolverine Origins made 373 million. Logan made almost 620 million.
Wow.
And that's obviously including some inflation in there and stuff like that.
Right.
Terminator made 78. Terminator 2 made 521.
Yeah.
So like again, there is that progression. They did come out years apart from each other, and there have been times where because a movie's so good as a sequel, they have released the sequel as well, and people wanted to see that more. So again, these numbers are kind of weird, but I wrote them all down just to see what we can look at for them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Most of them don't make any sense. Like don't because of how old some movies are and how much gap there is
Right.
between movies and all that stuff. If they
Right.
come out
Yeah.
the years like one's this year and one's next year, those inflation numbers are a lot closer. But
Yeah.
yeah, Logan's on that list. It's like I said, it's not like Wolverine 2, but it is a
Right.
sequel to other Wolverine movies,
Yeah.
and
I
it's by
mean,
far the best.
yeah, it exists in the same continuity, right?
Yes.
Like it's not like DC, like where they have like three different Jokers running around.
Yes.
Okay. I thought that was the case.
I mean,
but
it's because it's Old Man Logan. Technically, it's loosely based off of him
Right.
in the
Yeah.
far future after mutants have all passed away, or most of them have died.
Right.
And so it's still like it's the same. It's Hugh Jackman as Wolverine as he
Yeah.
would have been in the original film,
Right.
but just years later. So it is a sequel to the original film,
Yeah.
and not like I would count, you know, a certain like Thor Ragnarok being a sequel to the Avengers in
Right.
that sense because they
No,
are in
yeah,
the
I get
same
it.
world, but they're not. They all have their own movies too. Like
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
Avengers, Ultron would be a sequel to Avengers, if that makes any sense.
Right. Yep, for sure. Yeah. It's one of my like showcase movies that I'll put on just to like test out everything, see if it's working and all that. It's great.
It's so
It's
much
so
fun.
good.
I
Yeah.
put on every once in a while. I try to put on it. I have them at OBC on like the movie at the screen.
Yeah.
And if it's like 8 o'clock at night,
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, we can throw Wolverine or Logan on.
Sure.
It's gritty enough, but it's also like
Yeah.
there's no like I don't think there's any nudity.
Yeah.
It's just blood and gore and all that stuff. So
Right.
it's like I don't want to put it on at 3 o'clock in the afternoon on a Saturday when there's like families there. But like eight
Right.
o'clock at night on a Saturday night, I can throw it on the screen and have it in there because the bad part is I just watch it.
Right.
They're getting any work done because I'm just sitting there watching.
Right.
Good thing you actually have theaters at your place where
Yeah.
people close the
I'm
door.
separated. Yeah.
Because you'd probably be doing the exact same thing.
Oh yeah, for sure. Absolutely. So yeah, this next movie that I have and a couple others on the list are kind of in the same vein. So it's interesting how they did the, timing, all the flack that the X-Men franchise gets, maybe deservedly so. I thought they did do some interesting things like that, where basically you're like, oh, now you're in the future and this is, it's in the same timeline. So we're like telling the story, kind of like the Wolverine was.
Yeah.
It's like the samurai kind of version.
Yep.
So movies that maybe aren't necessarily direct sequels, but exist in the same universe or in the same timeline. So Army of Darkness, Evil Dead was the original. And that was kind of like your classic kids in a cabin horror story until Sam Raimi, mixed some weirdness in it and did some interesting camera tricks and just a whole bunch of kind of weird stuff that made it, along with like Bruce Campbell being the ham that he is, made it a cult classic essentially. So small budget, but one of those movies that everybody knows. And Army of Darkness, completely different. Basically he ends up in medieval times. He's still fighting the same, evil forces, but that movie is just, for me, they play up the comedy of it, and it becomes a much more unique movie, just because, different setting, different vibe to it. But I love all three of them, so I'm not really saying like one's better than the other. I was talking to Tiff the other day about this, and she's like, Evil Dead bores the shit out of me, like the original. And I'm like, yeah, I get it, but it's like that one's like the the baseline, like the foundational textbook for it, and then the other two are obviously, taking, like I said earlier, taking that mythology to the next level. So Army of Darkness is my favorite of the three. Evil Dead 2 is better than Evil Dead. Not, I have a soft spot for Army of Darkness. Me and my sister used to watch it a lot when we were kids. So that probably explains a little bit of the, weirdness that's going on.
But Evil Dead can be that 15-minute origin story at the beginning of a movie to tell you what's going
Right.
on that you don't
Yeah.
like. You're just like listening to it to get what you need to know.
Right.
Whereas Evil Dead 2 and then Army of Darkness can like, okay, now we built off of what we have
Right.
for the universe that we're in. Let's move on from it and get to good movies.
I mean, I'm pretty sure they do Evil Dead 1 like in about 15 seconds at the beginning of one of those movies. They just like
exactly.
flashback, you know what I mean?
And that's one of the ones that's weird for financial thing, because obviously Evil Dead
Right.
only made $2.7 million in the theaters, whereas Army of Darkness made almost 22 million. So it's like, it is obviously, but they're obviously lower budget movies too, so they're not going to make as much money either. So
right, for sure.
Yeah, that's a good one. So when I emailed you and we talked back and forth, I was like, I know I'm going to pick some more mainstream ones or some ones that are out there. I thought when I talked about this originally that we'd have way more options to pick from, but I realized that there actually isn't. It probably could have been a more fun or a more bigger list if we said top 10 sequels that are worse than their original.
Oh yeah,
because there's definitely some to choose from on those.
Absolutely.
But yeah, definitely, and some of these, like we mentioned, the sequels, I think if we put all of the movies again, like Star Wars, for an example, put them all together, it's the series itself is great. It's just that we're picking the one movie out of that series that makes it the best out of those series. And it's the same thing with the next movie I have on my list with Christmas. I mean, we've already talked about it, so I don't want to like harp on it forever, but Christmas Vacation is a sequel, obviously, to Vacation and European Vacation. But if you don't talk about any of the movie, what's the most talked about vacation movie out there? It's Christmas Vacation. So it has to be, in my opinion, the best sequel in that franchise. It's the one that people talk about the most. I mean, there's people who don't even have seen Christmas Vacation who have never even seen Vacation or European Vacation or Vegas Vacation, because it's like that cult classic Christmas movie. But it's also the best out of all of them, in my opinion. Like, it's by far the best out of all of them. The jokes hit better, the storyline's better. And it's also makes me laugh because out of those sequels, they all have like, there's different actors and actresses that play the exact same characters, and they just roll with it, which is one of my favorite things. It's like, what was it? Was it Wet Hot American Summer? Where they just like had all of them as really old people or older people, and they just played it off like it was the next summer. And all of us at home are like, "That's not a 14-year-old kid. What the hell are we looking at?"
Michael Showalter is just like 45 and just like.
But it's the same on Chris, like this vacation movies. It's like you're just led to believe that the kids are just different people, and you're just like, no, it's the same people from the original movies. It's just we just got different actors or actresses to play them. And so, Christmas Vacation, it only made a few $1 million more than Vacation, the original film, 73 million versus 61 million. But I think I don't think they've ever re-released it. If they re-released Christmas Vacation in the theaters around Christmas time, I think they'd make a buttload of money.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I'd go see it. I mean, I can go see it at Queen City Cinema Club, so I don't have to go to the big theater to see it.
Right.
I can just bring
pretty cool
a copy there.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like I said, I don't want to like, obviously we've talked about it. If you go listen to previous episodes of this podcast, back on the Christmas movies episode, we talked about how much we like it and why we liked it and all that. But I just think that out of all the vacation movies, I was like, oh, maybe I shouldn't put a movie on here we've already talked about. But I was like, I can't leave that off here. Like that, I think that movie is the best sequel in that franchise. So it might be the best National Lampoon's movie, period.
Yeah.
I mean, they made some funny ones. Absolutely. Like Van Wilder was pretty funny. Yeah. But like, I think it's probably the best National Lampoon movie out there.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like when I made my list, I think I had like maybe 6, and like and you had the other 5 or 6. That was it. So,
well, that's like I said, I think originally it kind of felt like, luckily we got to 10. That's why when I think I sent you the email, I put X's, like we're going to do the top blank number of films. Cause if you came at me with 10 and I came at you with 20, let's do 20.
Right.
But if we came at me with 3 and I came at with you with 4, we'd be like, well, maybe we'll just shorten it to 5 and we'll just do our top 5 favorite sequels that are better than the originals. But luckily we got to 10. I think it's a good, nice round number.
Yeah.
there, this even number.
Yeah.
But this next one that you can talk about was actually originally on my like borderline list as well. I probably could have
Right.
included it. I think I dropped it because most of mine were were superhero movies, so I didn't want to do all superhero
Right.
movies. So the next movie on the list would be one of those in that category.
Yeah. So I mean, we're talking about like living in the era of the MCU. So like there are so many sequels to choose
Mhm.
from. So like, of course, it's going to be more like comic books are serials. They're transferred into the film, you know, kind of as like the same thing. So you're gonna keep telling the stories, and people are gonna die, and they're gonna come back, and I mean, like it's just the nature of the beast. So you're gonna have so many more. Um, the other franchises that do that are horror, obviously, because you can just do whatever you want. You know what I mean? But yeah, Captain America: Winter Soldier is the
Mhm.
the film that obviously the first Cap, I think, kind of appreciated it more over time than I did the first time I saw it. First time I was
Mhm.
like, it's pretty much exactly what I expected. Um, but then like kind of once you build it out and then you can go back and look at that in that prism, then it's a better movie.
Mhm.
But Winter Soldier is vastly superior to the first Captain America.
Yes.
Um, it's him in the modern world, so I think that helps. You can like use like the spy thriller, the intrigue, the technology better to your advantage to make like for a more exciting movie, maybe at least in the genre that we're residing in. So I don't think anybody disagrees that Winter Soldier is like widely considered to be one of, if not the best movie in the MCU.
Yep.
So what I want to ask you was, is Civil War a better sequel than Winter Soldier? Like, is Civil War to Winter Soldier better than Winter Soldier to the first Avenger?
And if you were to ask me that, my personal only opinion, not like it's the Justin opinion, is Winter Soldier is still better than Civil War.
Right,
Only because I'm a massive fan of the comic book version of Civil War, and they
right,
weren't able to do scene for scene from the comic book due to
right.
movie rights and character rights, with like Spider-Man not being a part of it and all that
Yeah,
stuff. That would be one of the reasons why. I just think Winter Soldier. One of the things I think if we were to just put it down to a simple terms, every second film of a Marvel character or superhero movie is usually better than the first one, only
yeah,
because the first one's based on an origin story. So, like,
right,
if you can get away from that origin story and move on to the next one,
right,
that's where we're like, okay, let's tell. Like in First Avenger, we knew what was going to happen.
right.
Captain becomes
Yeah,
this weak person, gets the serum, and at the end of the movie, you know he's going to become Captain America.
right,
Whatever happens in the middle, it is what it is.
right,
Winter Soldier, anything could have happened. Like
right.
you already know Captain America's there. We don't know this whole Bucky thing, as
Yeah,
a audience. There's more emotion involved in it and all that stuff.
yeah,
Civil War, again, the same thing. It was an ends to a mean, I think. Like you had
yeah,
to get from point A to point B to move on to the rest of the series of the
right,
entire franchise.
right.
And that's why I think Winter Soldier is the better of the two. Um,
It
it just had,
stands
like I said,
alone better.
it stands alone. It's
Yeah,
a movie you can watch without watching any other, because they kind of give you the backstories along with
right.
it,
Yep.
and it set up a bunch of different things in the series. I mean, Winter Soldier, Falcon and the Winter Soldier that was on Disney Plus recently, wouldn't
Yep.
be a show if it wasn't for that movie.
Right.
I think the actor that plays Bucky Barnes is unreal. I think I saw a meme the other day though. It was like showing a picture of like Chris Evans years and years and years ago and a picture of him today. And it was like, did Marvel actually give him the serum? Like, geez, him Crow, man. He looks like he
Yeah.
actually is a super soldier now.
Yeah. For real.
Uh, but yeah, it's not an origin movie. I mean, I guess it is for the Winter Soldier in a sense.
Yeah.
Um, and so I think there's that aspect of it too. I think Civil War is a Captain America movie, but really it's like a
Yeah.
pseudo Avengers movie.
Yeah.
It's like an Avengers movie in a different name because
Yeah.
of how many actual characters. Excuse me. I think
Right.
it might have been one of the ones that had the most Marvel characters, like big name characters,
Yeah.
out of all of them that wasn't an Avengers movie.
Right. Oh
Um,
yeah, for sure.
in Civil War, but in Winter
Yeah.
Soldier, again, I agree with you. I think it's up there. I can't. I have. It's like have choosing your favorite kid
Yeah, for
for a
sure.
lot of people. Like I can't pick a Marvel movie that's the best out of all of them. I
Yeah.
just know that it's top three, top four for me for sure.
Yeah.
And if you remove the Avengers movies, it's up there, top 2 for sure, too.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely.
And so, yes, I
And
would think it's sad to say far better than Civil War, but it's far better than Civil War and far better than the first Avenger for sure.
yeah,
So it does
I'm
definitely
not.
fits
I
this
don't.
category.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I give the edge to Winter Soldier, but I don't know that it's like I might have to watch them again. I don't know. You know.
And I think something it says about the best sequels also say that you can watch them standalone
Yeah, for
without
sure.
having to watch the original movie. Also says
Yeah.
something about it too,
Yeah.
which is one of those, which is basically every Marvel film because they do give you a little bit of backstory.
Yeah.
But one of the things that always will give credit to Far From Home, no, Homecoming,
Yeah.
was that they didn't really give you an origin story of Spider-Man. Like you all
Right.
know the story.
Yeah.
You don't need to know
Yeah.
it anymore.
Yeah.
With
That was
Captain
my big
America,
thing.
they
And I was
needed
like,
to.
if they show us this again, it's like, please don't.
Which is what they have to
So,
do with Fantastic Four, I think. If they do the Fantastic Four movie, they
yeah.
have to do it with. They just they can do like a as the credits roll at the beginning montage on how they became who they
Right.
are,
Right.
or as the movie progresses, you kind of throw back and they're talking about how they came
Yeah.
to give you a little bit. But they shouldn't do an entire origin story Fantastic Four movie
Right.
to make a third series with 4 new
Yeah.
characters. Like you need to figure some other way of doing
Yeah.
it.
I think they're far enough along now that they could just change the origin
Mm-hmm.
and be like something weird happened during the snap. You know what I
Yes.
mean? Like they were in space in a spaceship and then the snap happened, they disappeared, the ship moved, they ended up, you know what I mean? Something like that. But anyway, you said you had so Winter Soldier would be like top 2, right?
Non Avengers
Like
movies
outside
top
of
2.
Avengers. Yeah. What was number 1?
Thor Ragnarok, which is
Oh,
next.
okay. What a surprise.
Weird. Nice segment there. You're getting good at this podcasting thing. No, but Thor Ragnarok, the funny thing about Thor Ragnarok too is that it's the third in the movie. So it is one of those trilogy movies. It's better than and the funny thing about it, it's the third movie in the sequel that's far superior than the other 2.
Yeah.
I will never say there's a bad Marvel movie other than probably the Incredible Hulk. But like other than that, like most movies are good for what they are. The standalone movies, they're good. But Thor Ragnarok is like leaps and bounds beyond Thor and Thor: The Dark World, and a lot of people's opinions on that. There is those fringe people who don't like how much comedy was in it, which I understand that, and that Thor is this god, and so the first movie's being like Asgard related, and this one not being as much. There is obviously Asgard in it, but not they're focused on other planets. Like the second movie is mostly based on Earth, and this one's mostly on Sakaar. And so I understand that, but like the comedy in there, the directing in there, the action, the funny part, the Avengers, the adventures they have in there, Hulk being a big
The
part of it.
Revengers.
Yes, the Revengers. Korg has always been amazing. Like, I love Korg. I can't wait to see what they do with him in the future, in the next Thor: Love and Thunder. But like the Thor: Love and Thunder has a chance to be in this category as well. It might actually be one of those ones that on my list. There's 2 movies that are in the same series on the top list because of that. But I love Taika Waititi, as we've talked about before. I loved a bunch of things that they've done with Thor, and it's up there in my top. Endgame and Infinity War have to be up there for me because it's like the culmination of so much stuff. Tugs your heartstrings, the adventure, the technology increasements.
I still prefer the original Avengers over all other Avengers movies.
And I can see why you would say that too. I think part of it's like when I put it all together and the action, the adventure, the storyline, the emotion, and then the aspect of it being modern. So it's more in the future now. So now we have better technology, better special effects, all that stuff. I think that's part of it. Also, these characters have worked so much together that their acting got a little bit better together.
Right.
But the story itself of how the original Avengers came together, I can understand why that could be one of your favorites as well. But we did our top 10 or top 25. Taylor and I watched them all over again and did our own order. And I would probably say if I watched it again today, that the order would change again, just I think with context of like WandaVision and the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And then looking back at the old movies, it would change every time I watched it, I think.
Yeah.
But Thor would be up there all the time. Thor Ragnarok would be up there. And again, just like Empire, a lot of people just call it Ragnarok, which is great.
Right. Absolutely.
It adds that aspect to it. So Yeah, that's another superhero movie, and I think we've got one more on this list. My next movie, but we'll chat about your next movie first, or your
Yeah.
it's your movie, our movie.
Our movies. Oh, now I X'd out of that list.
Oh,
I'm pretty sure it's a Robert Rodriguez film.
I believe so.
Okay. Desperado.
Yes.
Yeah. So this movie kind of like kickstarted my entire love of like, I don't know, not necessarily, I mean, it like led into B movies, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but like just like the whole kind of it, I don't know, action, not action movies either, because there were like 80s action movies. I don't know how to describe it. I would say like Tarantino, Robert Rodriguez, um, John Woo. Like I started watching John Woo after this, you know. So like kung fu movies with guns, not like it's not like kung fu's not involved, but it's like the same kind of story arc where you basically just like you walk in, kind of like the Western, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like that kind of strange amalgamation of like all of those like sub genres that people don't, you know, you're never going to get nominated for an Academy Award unless you make
Correct.
Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon or whatever, but you know, and they're all kind of mashed up, you know. So obviously Desperado is like very rooted in Robert Rodriguez's, you know, history, his personal, you know, upbringing and all of that. You know, it's a movie about Mexico.
Yep.
But this is another one where it's not necessarily like a direct sequel because it's kind of a remake. So it's like he made the original El Mariachi,
Yep.
and now you have a different actor in Antonio Banderas,
Mm-hmm.
and the story's a little different, but the story's kind of the same. And it's like, I don't know, it's a really interesting, like we were talking about, kind of, you know, Logan taking place in a different, you know, this one almost takes place in like a side slipped universe, I guess. I don't know how to describe it. My last movie's the same way, but it's
Yeah.
like, but it allows him to do so many interesting things where he can like play off jokes from the previous movie. So Once Upon a Time in Mexico is the third movie, and that one's like even more self-referential and kind of like poking fun at itself a little bit. And there's just like all these really interesting little like inside jokes that he can
Mm-hmm.
like, you know what I mean, put in it, and like, you know, change this little thing. Cheech Marin's going to play this character in this movie, but he's going to play this character, you know what I mean? And but anyway, Desperado, first time I saw it, my mind was blown. I was like, this is amazing. I was like jumping all around, landing on his back, and people are like flying across the room. Like it's just so like stylized, uber violent kind of, but
Mm-hmm.
it's like not like, you know, gory or anything. It's just kind of like, it's just cool, you know? Just a cool movie.
And it's one of
It's
those
got
ones, like I
Salma Hayek.
mentioned before, there are movies that are better than the sequels that you don't, or originals that you don't need to watch the original. This is the one of
Right.
those ones that's like
Yeah,
kind of the opposite of that, where it's like you kind of like to get everything that's going on, you really have
for
to watch
sure.
the references to the original
Yeah,
movies.
yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, I was, you know, I didn't want to be Antonio Banderas, but I was like, you know, if I was
You
Antonio
sure?
Banderas, my life would be pretty good, you know.
You sure you don't want to be Antonio Banderas?
Uh,
Do you
I
know what's
don't
funny?
know, maybe a
Every
little
time
bit.
I hear the film, the word Desperado, though, I always just think about the song
Yeah, I think about the Seinfeld
Desperado.
episode.
Oh, yep.
Like every time he is just
And it,
but
the
yeah,
original
I don't know.
movie only made $2 million,
Yeah,
and Desperado made $25.4 million.
yeah.
So that's a fun one.
So I mean, I wonder, you know, he probably did better on the 2 million than he did on the 25.
Probably.
You know what I mean?
Probably.
But you know, the difference in production value is pretty
Yeah.
clear. But if
Yeah.
you haven't seen El Mariachi, I definitely recommend going back and watching that. And then, you know,
All three of them,
might as
really.
well watch the other. Yeah, I really enjoyed Once Upon a Time in Mexico, and it's not. I don't know. It's like a little more in my kind of wheelhouse for stuff I like than Desperado is, because Desperado is more of a traditional action movie.
Yep.
But so I was almost like, well, is it that's what kept happening. I go, is the third one better than the second one that we're naming? You know,
Yeah.
Because it's just cool, and Johnny Depp's a cool character in it. But yeah, Desperado is my answer. Final answer.
Final answer, Desperado. Well, it's like I said, we talked about that there are ones that are drastically better. Like I
Right.
said, Thor Ragnarok is like, if you had to
Yeah.
pick one out of the three, you're definitely,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter if you like the comedy in Thor Ragnarok,
Right.
you're going to pick it over Thor the Dark World, which is the
Yeah. You're
second
going
one.
from
Yeah.
like maybe the worst to one of
Yes.
the best. Yeah.
Yes. So, but those are ones like maybe you just, book 3 weekends in a row at Queen City Cinema Club and watch all
Yeah.
3 movies and,
Yeah.
get caught up on all the
Yeah.
desperado
Yeah. Or
of it
like a
all.
6-hour marathon.
So I'm gonna change my last one. No, I'm kidding. But I was gonna say Night at the Museum, Battle at the Smithsonian. I'm just
Okay.
kidding. I'm just kidding. We're gonna go a little Dark Knight on this one. No, darker on this
Paul
one.
Blart.
Yes,
Paul
Paul
Blart
Blart
Mall
Mall
Cop
Cop
2.
2.
Yeah.
I wish I could have picked Deadpool 2, but I think they're equal. Like they're Deadpool is unique in its own way, but I think Deadpool 2 was good.
It was
It's
good.
one of those ones that's 1A, 1B to me.
Yeah.
Not
I
like maybe
think,
1A, 1C, but like I'm just saying, like
yeah.
it's not drastically better either way. The original is better. Like is
I think,
better.
yeah. The first one's better. Yeah.
I think they just added on to it. It's almost like a part B movie to me. They
Yeah.
just like trailed off at the end. But yeah. So I'm gonna go a DC film, which is very unusual for me with this aspect of it. But like Dark Knight is probably one of my, if not the best DC movie that's ever come out, in my opinion. Again,
Yes.
another one of those ones that they had to, it's obviously gonna, in my mind, it's obviously gonna be better than the original, because the original was Batman Begins, which was an origin story for Batman again, to us to find out how Batman became Batman again.
Right.
Just like the Spider-Man movies will be like that, or Fantastic Four. But honestly, it's not even Batman. It's not even Christian Bale in this movie. It's Heath Ledger. Like it's his acting in this movie, how he portrayed the Joker, the darkness of it. Two-Face, his part of it too. Like there's just so much going on in there. It's just so much. The visual effects are better than the first one. And you didn't, like I said, you didn't have to figure out how Batman became Batman. You already knew that, so you can get past
Right.
that. It just, again, dark, gritty. The thing that always has been a problem for Batman over the past number of years, and why I've actually been one of the reasons why I'm not a huge DC fan, is it's always been so childish. Like the TV show on what's his name's Batman? Now I'm gonna, what's his name on Family Guy? Who played Batman? TV's Batman.
Oh, Adam West.
Adam West. I got a huge brain fart there.
Sorry.
Adam West's Batman was so childish and so kiddie,
Yeah.
and it had to be at the time. One
Yeah.
of the reasons why Logan to me was on this list is one of the same reasons why Dark Knight is on this one. It's gritty, it's dark, it's what Batman really would be. Like Gotham is gross.
Right.
Gotham is a disgusting, crime-ridden place. That's not like, I love the 80s and 90s Batman movies. But just they're, again, I feel like they're trying to be dark, but also trying to be childish in that same aspect. Whereas Dark Knight was just like a smack in the face of with gritty and dark humor and acting and all that stuff. And that's why it to me will be one of my favorite comic book movies. I think if it's hard for me to do a top 10 comic book movie list, because 10 of them would probably be all in the MCU. Or
Right.
maybe 9 of them with Deadpool,
Right.
or 8 with Deadpool and Logan. But Dark Knight would have to fight up there with those movies. I think it's one of those things that if DC would have just kept going with that style,
Yep.
that they'd be up there right now in the box office with Marvel, if they just kept on rolling with Dark Knight
Yeah.
movies. But yeah, so Dark Knight would be on my list for one of the better sequels of the original film, which would have been Batman Begins.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I like Batman Begins. I like, it's a little bit different. It like got into like the kind of Jesus period where he like leaves, and he just disappears for a couple of years,
Yeah.
and he comes
Yeah.
back, and
Yep.
Ra's al Ghul hadn't been done before, in the cinema and stuff. But yeah, we watched it actually. We watched Dark Knight a couple nights ago with the kids, and it's a damn good movie. Like regardless of whether it's a comic book movie or not.
Yeah.
We started watching Dark Knight Rises last night, but then we ended up playing. We got a new board game, Godzilla, and it's amazing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's super fun. Yeah.
That's awesome.
But I was going to ask you too about Dark Knight Rises. I mean, obviously Heath Ledger Joker, just I mean, but I really, really like the third movie.
I think so too. I think
Awesome.
it's like the same Winter Soldier part of me. It's like the second movie edges out the third movie a little
Yep.
bit on this one, and
Right.
I honestly think the Dark Knight is The Dark Knight is Batman, but
Yeah.
to me, that's a Joker movie.
Right.
It's Heath Ledger's acting and the whole experience of Heath Ledger's
Yep.
Joker in that movie made that movie.
Yep.
Whenever I watch that, I'm always like, the want to put a smile on the face. Like that
Yep.
stuff is just like, you want to see a magic trick, and all those different lines that I remember from are not Batman lines. The only remember Batman lines are, I'm Batman.
Right.
Those are the only things that you remember from the movie. And so it's really a Heath Ledger movie. And I think we could have probably potentially have seen more Heath Ledger Joker if he had been living today. But I think that, that kind of sucked some of the air out of Heath Ledger's Joker when he passed away. But I think, so it edges it out. I think Rises is good too, but I think number 2 definitely edges it out just a little bit.
Yeah. Tom Hardy's awesome as Bane.
Yes.
And
I love Tom
I
Hardy.
don't know. Yeah. It's, I don't know.
I don't know. Bane was good, but again, I just still think that the focus on Joker is better. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. But you need like the villain to make the good guy what he is. Like you were saying, like, you're not like being like, I mean, I guess, sometimes I'll like, Malachi will lose something. I'll be like, where is it? That's that's the extent of my Batman quotes,
Well, we're watching Big Bang Theory, Taylor and I, and we were on the episode last night where they went to the comic book store to do a costume contest for the New Year's Eve, and they wanted to win best group contest. They wanted to go to Justice League of America, and I forget who was not Leonard. Who was it? Someone was Batman, and he got punched, and he's like, "Ow." I mean, ow. It's like, I'm Batman. He goes, ow. I mean, ow. like the stupid Christian Bale Batman voice.
Right.
But so Dark Knight, I definitely think is the best one. Speaking of Tom Hardy, a movie that I actually think could make this list in the long run is the new Venom movie that comes out in the future, because the trailer just dropped, and it was.
Oh, it did.
It dropped this morning, and it looks phenomenal. There are some movies that are coming out in the near future that actually have that chance of making it a better sequel than the original movie. I liked Venom, this original movie, a lot, but I think that is a possibility if they can build off of that and make it what it is. It looks dark. It looks gritty. It looks Venom versus Carnage is like more for me.
So I'm into Carnage, and
yes,
it's, if they do it right, then it could be amazing.
And so that one's, like I said, Tom Hardy. Exactly. Like I said, but even here's the deal. There's also possibility with movies that a lot of people don't think are good. Like a lot of people did not like Venom. And there's, if it's not that great, you'd have to really be doing a bad job of making a sequel to make it not as good as a movie that people didn't think was that great. And so like it could make this list just based on the fact that it's better than the original. It has nothing to do if you liked it or not. If you liked it better than the original, technically it makes this list. But we're also picking movies that we actually like too, not just movies that were better than the originals.
Right. Yeah. Troll 2.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, Night at the Museum could be one of those ones.
For sure. Paul Blart Mall Cop could be.
Could be one of those ones. They're just not our top 10 ones that we'd say you should go watch right now.
For sure. Yeah. So I'm looking over the list. I mean, I don't know. It's so varied. I was gonna say this might be my favorite movie on the list, but that's not really true. But it's up there. Mad Max Fury Road. But like the Mad Max series is kind of interesting that way too, where it's like it's kind of like Desperado. He's kind of telling the same story over and over again, or telling like slightly different stories in the same universe. Which like you could make an argument that the first 3 Mad Maxes are in sequential order. It's a little fuzzy with Mad Max and the Road Warrior, I think. Like the Road Warrior is kind of a remake.
Yeah.
But Mad Max Fury Road, like I again talked to Tiff about this. I'm like, is he the same character? Is he a reimagining? Is he you know what I mean? Is it a different actor playing the same character? Is it a different story? Is it, is it Max Rockatansky Jr.? We don't know.
Exactly.
And like that kind of like, when you don't have to think about that stuff in the context of the film, it makes it enjoyable, because then you're just like give me freaking fire and trucks and, you know what I mean, just badass live action, no CGI, balls to the wall, just like, oh my god, that movie.
And post-apocalyptic is always going
Yep.
to win out for me. If it's
Yep.
something post-apocalyptic, I don't care what it is, comic book related, book related,
Yep.
movies, video games, anything
Yep.
post-apocalyptic is. I mean, it came pretty realistic this year,
Right.
yeah. So the
Yeah.
post-apocalyptic part of anything is going to be great. So that's why that
Yeah.
Mad Max, series as a whole is always a
Yeah.
great thing.
Yeah.
Why I like one of my favorite movies that again we should probably do at some point is like guilty pleasure movies or movies that people think are horrible that I actually like, and that's
Right.
Waterworld.
Yeah.
I think I would love to see a Waterworld sequel. Let's go do it
Yeah.
or a remake, reboot it.
Right. Waterworld
But
Pinball's pretty fun.
oh yeah, I bet
Play it
I saw
here
that.
at Queen
Yeah,
City Cinema Club.
Bangor,
Uh,
Maine.
yeah, Bangor, Maine. So yeah, the costumes.
Yes.
You
Well,
know,
it won
you
a
just
bunch of awards too. Didn't Fury Road win a bunch of awards for costumes too?
yeah,
I believe it
yeah,
did.
for
Yeah.
sound and costuming, and
Yeah.
you know the cars are badass. I like the dude with the guitar. And he's just like on the, and they got the thing. You know, it's like a spectacle
Mm-hmm.
in the truest sense of the word, and obviously coming out what 30
Yeah.
years later, basically like 1979 for Mad Max. This must have been 2018, 2019, somewhere around there,
Yeah.
2017 maybe.
Yeah.
So, you know, you have a much bigger budget. You know, if you feel like a studio is going to resurrect the franchise, you have just, you know, a lot more at your disposal
Yeah.
to make that happen. And so it kind of is kind of like a testament to the original movies being able to pull that off
Yeah.
and make that look that good. You know what I mean?
It,
You know, a
for
Morton
sure.
Joe is like an awesome villain,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and just like the look and everything. Like it's just that's definitely every time that, you know, I think I've said this before, but every time we have some type of event or something where people are walking through, that's what I put on in the big theater.
Yes.
Like the sound quality, you know, everything. I love it. I'll watch it if that movie comes on. I'll watch it. You know,
It's definitely one of those ones that's visually attractive, and I think that's one of the reasons why I put Logan on that list and why I put her on the thing. Because again, there's a lot going on that you can
yeah,
watch, and you don't have to actually like watch them speak. There's
right,
definitely movies that are really good movies. You have to like pay attention to the movie. Whereas
yeah,
like things like Mad Max, you can just watch the movie in the background while you're having a gathering or something like that, and you get snippets of the movie. And you're like, oh my god, that's badass. And like
yeah,
you don't have to like you want to sit down and watch the whole movie. We recommend that. But that's definitely one of those things you can put on the background and like get snippets of it
oh
and
yeah,
see the action and like I said, the
yeah,
colors and all the costumes and all that stuff
yeah,
does that. And honestly, I would say like things like Pirates of the Caribbean, not on anywhere the level of Mad Max Fury Road, but the actual same thing. A lot of stuff going on, a lot of visual effects, a lot of costumes.
yeah.
There are movies like that why didn't those make our list? The sequels to Pirates of the Caribbean. I got a question for you here.
Yeah, of
Okay,
course.
out of all these movies that are on this list, which
Yeah,
movie that we picked, not the originals, which movie that we picked made the most money in the box office?
in the box office. Um, I would say.
And it's actually by like a couple hundred million, honestly. Come on, just spit one out.
Dark Knight.
Yes. Ding, ding,
Yeah,
ding, ding, ding. Josh wins the prize. Made just over $1 billion in the theaters.
yeah,
Thor Ragnarok made 854 million. Captain America Winter Soldier was 714. And then it was Empire and Terminator below
yeah.
that.
That was
But
essentially how I had them kind of
yeah.
ranked. I was like, Marvel is like
Well,
a juggernaut, but Batman, nothing beats
yes.
Batman at the box office. That's
And
why
that
they
says
make
something
a
too, because it was
Batman movie
released.
every 3 years.
It was released not recently, so there's no inflation on
Right,
that. There's no 23 24 movies to
right,
build up to these things, and that's why Infinity War and Endgame made so much money, was because of the
right,
fact that it's a build. It's the 23rd sequel in the
right.
series
Yeah,
to that, and that will always be discussion too for sequels. Is Infinity War and Endgame, are they technically the same movie split
right.
into two, and is
Yeah,
it a sequel? Which one's better?
right.
And so that will be obviously a discussion, because technically, if you think Endgame's my favorite, if it is my favorite Marvel movie, then technically wouldn't that fit in this category, because it's a sequel
Right.
to Infinity War, which is a sequel to the other
Absolutely.
Avengers movies. So that's
Absolutely.
one of those borderline ones. I almost consider, like, if we were to do this list again, you'd say don't include Marvel movies in it, because they're all one big movie
Right.
just split up into different avenues. But
Yeah.
you can't really
I
do that,
was
because
yeah.
it'd be like
I was
Star
trying to
Wars
figure
wouldn't
out how to get
count.
right. I was trying to figure out how to get Kill Bill in. Because I was like, I mean, I like the first one better than the second one, so I can't be that disingenuous. But what if everything in the Tarantino oeuvre is in the same universe?
So it's
Therefore, Kill Bill's actually a sequel to Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
But
But
that didn't count, so it's not on the list.
okay,
You were able
well,
to bring it up, though. You talked about Kill Bill on this
yeah,
podcast.
yeah. I don't want to say this, but I'm gonna go ahead and say this.
It's like bringing up Night at the Museum. I just wanted to figure out how to way to bring up Night at the Museum.
Yeah.
No, I'm just
Yep.
kidding.
Paul Blart.
Paul Blart Mall Cop, which is
Yeah.
pretty funny. How we could bring it. I think we actually might have brought that up on the comedy episode, honestly, because of the Adam Sandler connection in that. But like, so we have, just to do it to our list again, no order specifically. These are just top 10 these are our top 10, meaning that these are better than every other movie that are out there. This is our 10. Empire Strikes Back, Star Wars Empire Strikes Back, just if anybody doesn't know what Empire Strikes Back is. Terminator 2, Logan, Army of Darkness, Christmas Vacation, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, Captain America, Winter Soldier, Thor Ragnarok, Desperado, The Dark Knight, and Mad Max Fury Road. I'm not going to go through whatever the sequels are. They are too. You can look that up on the internet yourself. There's this thing called Google and Wikipedia that lets you help with that stuff. But I would also say it entice people to watch the originals and then watch the sequels to make your own depiction of whether or not the sequel is better than the original. Because there are, and again, sometimes, like I said, there are certain ones that watching them both is necessary. To get to a certain end, to make the second movie better than the first one, you have to watch the first one, because it might not be as good because you're missing out on things that were in the original movie. Like, wow, this movie actually does suck. I'm kind of like lost. Like, what the hell? Who is Luke Skywalker? I don't get this.
Next time, we should do a 3-hour podcast on whether Gremlins 2 is better than Gremlins.
Let's go for 4. I don't want a 4 hour. Let's do 4 hours. Do an hour, cut the movies. We'll do a half an hour on half of the first movie and half.
Bonus episode. Home Alone 2. Is it better than Home Alone?
No, I think Home Alone 3 is better than both of them. So I don't know what you're talking about.
All right.
Well, and then there's movies that like the Die Hard movies, or there's movies that it's like they're so close to
Lethal
being
Weapon.
Yep, they're so close to being that, I would say Major League 2, those kind of movies. The movies that have like
Naked Gun.
Yep, there's a bunch of movies that are just like they're all just great. So it'd be kind of cool to do a series of like top 10 series, like or trilogies, or
It's interesting too because it kind of depends on like what level these things are at. So you're talking about MCU, massive budgets, making tons of money. Then you go, but like somewhere else, we're doing National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, or what if we did like Police Academy? You know what I mean? Like that's a completely different level. So like your expectations for what the next movie in the series is supposed to be, you know what I mean?
Yep.
I personally prefer Police Academy.
We could do it.
Leprechaun 5, Leprechaun in Space. It's the best of the Leprechaun movies,
We could do a top 10 list of movies that had below a certain budget too.
Yeah.
Like your budget is X amount of dollars. You cannot pick a movie that had a budget higher than $10 million or $5 million or $3 million, whatever it is. So like things like Clerks, those kind of movies who had almost no budgets at all.
I watched one.
Would be on that list.
Just a quick plug the other night, and it was called Raccoon Valley, and the guy shot it on his iPhone. It was like maybe like 80 minutes, somewhere around there, and it cost him like $170 to shoot. And it was like he picked it because I was like, this is a Resident Evil movie.
Yeah.
So like we watched it and we watched the whole thing, and I'm like, wait, what just happened? But it was really interesting because he did the movie for like a couple $100, and like it's actually really pretty good.
Yes.
So I just wanted to throw that out there.
That's
If you
all
see that,
Raccoon Valley.
check it out. Yeah, something like that. Raccoon Valley, I think.
Yeah, I'm sure it's
But
probably
like
out there.
it was just interesting because the whole time, you're like, there's something about this. So I looked up the information about it. And when you realize how little he shot it for, you're like, holy shit, how
And
did
that,
you do that?
and
What I
that's why
mean?
I was saying with the budget being so low
Yeah.
and the movies being so well
Yeah.
made, it's like, how is
Right.
that possible? And it's like, it
Yeah.
also makes us as people like, could I do that? And you and I
Right.
don't definitely, even your film background and your love for films,
Yeah.
you and I could not do it for $170.
Right.
Well, it's just alone, like, first
Right.
of all, that doesn't include the purchase of the iPhone, the editing software,
Right.
because you probably already own those. But still,
Right.
even if you said, let's do it for $5,000, I don't think we could do a movie probably as good as that movie for
I've shot a
$5,000.
couple of I've shot a couple commercials for this place on no budget. Let me tell you,
Unless
not
you're
good.
going for the I shot this on no budget look,
Right.
which that guy wasn't. He was trying to. It was
Right.
obviously something trying to do is try to prove that he could
Yeah.
do it with no budget,
Right.
which is kind of what Kevin Smith was doing too with
Right.
Clerks. Is he wanted to just do it with no budget and see how he could do it. He sold all of his comic books to make that movie.
Yeah.
Sweet, man. That was fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was a
Absolutely.
sequel. That was our best sequel to our episodes. Just to let you know. Leave a comment in the thing if you thought. No, just kidding. Please don't leave a comment in the thing if you thought this was better than original ones. But yeah. So Josh, Queen City Cinema Club. When do you open?
We are open currently Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 4 to 10 p.m., Saturday, 12 to 10 p.m., and Sunday, 12 to 7 p.m. As things move along, we'll see what happens. We had a really nice Sunday yesterday, so we'll see what happens as far as that goes. But
You're thinking in your mind it might be like adding a Tuesday and taking a Sunday off,
or closing later on the weekends and taking some. Just it's just I was talking to somebody that the manager down at Nocturnum the other night about this, and like it's interesting because you have a lot of different things that you can do and you have some more flexibility, but you also don't really know what's going to work at this point.
Yeah.
And it's just like for all of us, like a very difficult thing to navigate.
And then you're also on that aspect of we talked about we're opening Bangor location soon or within the next 45 days or so, and we talked about the we're only going to probably do Wednesday through Saturday and not open on Sunday. And there is this benefit to opening on Sunday because you are the only one open. But if you're the only one open, then who's downtown? And so that's the other part of it. I was like, if you're the only one open, you can draw the business for other people that aren't open. But there also might be this thing where this whole like mentality is downtown Bangor is closed on Sunday. Let's go
nothing's
elsewhere.
Open.
And so you might lose the business anyway. So we just said, let's just close on Sundays in Bangor and do Wednesday through Saturday and get that business those days and just, give the potentially a day off for the bartenders or no, we're closed Mondays and Tuesdays forever. We're not going to open Mondays and Tuesdays ever again. It's better for us that way. So, I mean, I would think for you potentially Mondays would probably be one of those days you're just gonna be like, nope, let's just have a day off Mondays and
for sure
open again.
Yeah. We've definitely worked our way into having pretty consistent Sundays, and I don't think I can just like,
get rid of it,
kick it to the curb. But if we were to be able to make that money back in another time period that works better for us, then that's what we'll do.
And you're open to the idea too, because you guys are the people that run it, to do things like, hey, you want to fine, we'll do a Monday if you book the whole place out and get drinks and all that stuff, because then it's worth it for you guys. And then maybe if you knew in advance, you could be like, okay, we're going to close Sunday because we did a private event on Monday and made up all the money we were going to make on Sunday. So
for sure,
you own the business and you can do what you want.
Isn't
that crazy?
It's pretty cool, sometimes it's also a lot of pressure, but
absolutely. But you made it through the pandemic, man. You're on the other side of the pandemic now. So
that's kind of like, we just look at each other and we go, all right, like, obviously things can go wrong and like things can change. But we've got ourselves into a position where we feel like, people respect what we're doing here and they like it. And if we have to close for an extra day, they're not going to hold it against us.
Correct.
Please.
We're just going to come on different days. That's all it is. And it's the way it should be. If you like the place enough, you're going to go on different days anyway.
For sure.
And so, but
tell your customers when and what they want. Don't let them tell you.
correctly. And we'll say this, and this doesn't mean anything against customers.
Right. No, not at all.
Me going into your place, I don't know what I want. I go to your place for you to tell me what I want. And that's when I walk in the door. You should play pinball. You should rent a theater. You should do this. Someone comes in to order a brewing company, 99.9% of the time, they don't know what they want to order to drink. They ask us. So we have to tell them what they want to order to drink. So the same thing. We'll tell you which days you should come to our places because those are the best days that you should come to our places. Like, that's the way it is. Like, it's not gonna be fun for you. You're gonna go into a place like OBC on a Sunday in downtown Bangor and be the only person in there. It's super quiet, and you're trying to have a conversation with your wife or your girlfriend or whoever, and the bartender can hear every word you're saying. It's not a fun experience for you. So let's just move it to a day that's more busy so you can have a conversation and no one else can hear you because it's too busy around you to do it. You know what I mean? That kind of thing.
Sounds oddly specific, Justin.
There's been a number of cases, man. We could go into a whole thing about this, which would be a fun episode to have, like, people who have worked in the industry to have these stories to be told.
My favorites are first dates.
Yes, God. I've had been blind dates, dude. Like, they're like, the lady was like, I don't know if I like this person. What do I do? And I'm like, we have a back door. Just go, pretend like you're going to the bathroom, leave out the back door, come back and pay your bill another time.
For real. Like, if you are ever uncomfortable at either of our places, just let your server or bartender.
Oh, absolutely. We've all been there or seen it. We're here to help you.
Absolutely.
Like, we'll get you out of the building in a certain way if you want to run away, or if you need help, or if you need me to sit down at your table with you and have a conversation because it's being really awkward. Just wave 100%. At us. We'll come over and do it.
Yep, for sure.
Message us on Facebook. Well, we're the ones answering the Facebook messages, and we'll get at you.
Exactly.
Sweet. So you can follow Josh on Queen City Cinema Club on Instagram, Facebook. You can queencitycinemaclub.com. But sweet, man. It was great talking to you.
You too.
You enjoy the rest of your day and say hi to the wife for me, and happy Mother's Day to her too.
Same. And to Taylor, prospective Mother's Day.
Yes.
Or future Mother's Day.
Yeah, I mean, she's close enough that it definitely was Mother's Day for her.
Oh yeah, yeah. But I think you're most of a mother when you're carrying it. So
exactly.
Yeah.
So hey, man.
All right.
Have a good one.
You too.